Hey, it's Will with a quick look into the life of Richmond's very own Edgar Allan Poe. We shared this story on this week's episode of 8 at 4, presented by VCU Health. Check it out.
We're at the world's finest collection of Poe things, the Edgar Allan Poe Museum in historic Richmond, Virginia. And I'll show you right this way. So this is the heart and soul of the museum. This garden was landscaped a century ago in 1922, and the whole complex consists of 4 buildings in all. This is the first one, the old stone house, the oldest house still standing in Richmond. Poe was a Richmonder. He grew up here, he got his start in journalism here, he got married here, he first fell in love here. So this is the city that he knew best and helped shape who he became. He always sort of felt like he was on the outside when he was growing up. He never knew his father or his mother. His father abandoned the family, his mother died when he was 2 years old, and he got taken in by foster parents, but his foster father never really considered him part of the family, never included him in his will, never legally adopted him, and always used to remind Edgar that he was only with them out of charity. So Poe always felt like he was on the outside looking in, that he didn't quite fit into Richmond high society. He grew up reading Lord Byron, the British poet they called mad, bad, and dangerous to know, the guy who swam the Hellespont, the guy who ran off to fight the Greek Wars of Independence. And Poe said, I want to be like Byron when I grow up. I want to be just like that guy. Byron would dress in black, wear his hair all wild and curly, have love affairs all over Europe. And Poe said, that's what I want to do. I want to be a rock star poet like him. So Poe was creating a persona. He's creating this image of himself. When years later, when somebody asked him for some biographical information, Poe sent him the whole story. He said that, oh yeah, I'm 2 years younger than everybody thinks I am. Then I graduated first in my class at UVA, took off to Europe to fight the Greek Wars of Independence, but got captured and sent to St. Petersburg, Russia, was rescued from there, had all these adventures in Europe, all completely made up, but that's the image that Poe created for himself. Maybe he wasn't happy with reality, so he just created a whole new reality. Poe wasn't just about darkness. He wasn't just about writing terror tales. He explored the whole range of human experience in his work. So he wrote comedies, he wrote love stories, and a lot of love poetry. But we tend to remember him for the horror stories. It's not because he didn't write the other things, it's because horror is a genre that's really stuck with us. And one of the great things about Poe's horror stories is they're really adaptable. He liked to write about people just like you or me, that went a little bit mad sometimes. He was one of the early people who really understood that we're not entirely in control of our own minds, that behind the ego that's telling us what we should do and what we should think, what's the right thing to do, there's some dark voice he called the imp of the perverse, telling us to do the wrong thing for the wrong thing's sake. And usually we're able to hold it back. He explains that sometimes we'll be on the edge of a cliff and it's telling us step just one more step, but we know to hold back. But what happens if we don't hold back? That's when we get stories like The Black Cat or The Telltale Heart. He was expressing his own view of the world, which unfortunately tend to be a little bit dark sometimes. And it's not his fault. It's when he was a kid, his mother died. When he was 14, his first love died. When he got married and thought things were finally gonna go okay, then his wife got tuberculosis and she died young. So it's one tragedy after another. So when he was writing poetry, he thought, well, I gotta write good poetry. How do I know what's good? He said, a beautiful poem has to be sad. He said, well, how do you know what beauty is? Beauty, you can't measure it, you can't define it, but beauty is that which stirs the sensitive soul to tears. You know beauty by the way it makes you feel. When he thought back to all those women he loved and lost, he connected beauty and death, love and death all at once. That's why he wrote so many poems about dying women like Lenore, Annabel Lee, the Raven. And here's our little bust of Poe. People have been giving him flowers and kisses on the cheek. We don't know why they wanted to kiss him. It doesn't seem like the most sanitary thing to do during COVID. People, they feel connected with him. He lives on through his works. He's still here with us. Poetry continues, short stories, but more importantly, imagination continues. The museum really is an idea. It's an idea that the written word, that imagination matter.
Be sure to watch the full episode of 8 at 4 presented by VCU Health for this story and others by visiting richmond.com/VVN